Everyone, today we're talking about the offense of armed robbery in South Carolina. It is a very serious offense. And we're going to go over some of the elements and some examples of armed robbery. And so first of all, I want to start off with an example where a man goes into a convenience store and he has something in his jacket pocket. And the outline of it looks like it could be a gun. And he goes up to the cashier and he says, "I have a gun, and give me all the money in the cash register." And the cashier believes that he has a gun and gives him all the money. And then he walks out of the convenience store. And when he gets out into the parking lot, the customers in the parking lot realize he didn't actually have a gun in his coat pocket. He had a banana. Can this person be charged with armed robbery? And let's assume he leaves and never comes back, never intends to return this money that was stolen. So let's take this example and look at the elements of armed robbery in South Carolina. Number one, the person has to be armed with a deadly weapon, or the person claims to be armed with a deadly weapon. So obviously, if the person has a deadly weapon, that's sort of self-explanatory, and if they're the person that is holding up a convenience store, the person believes that they have a weapon, and if a gun is actually pointed at the cashier, or if a knife is presented, something like that, then that's pretty self-explanatory that the person is armed with a deadly weapon. But the second part of it is what is a little bit more involved and complicated, and that is if the person claims to be armed with a deadly weapon. If a person presents something that resembles a gun or a weapon, if the person has a toy gun, if that victim believed that that was a real gun, and the person who is trying to get the money ends up getting the money because the victim believes that the gun is real, then that person can be charged with armed robbery. So I hope that you're getting the idea here that it doesn't have to actually be a real gun. It doesn't have to even be a gun. It could be, there are all different types of deadly weapons. And so if there's any kind of implication from the person who's trying to obtain the goods or property, then they're trying to take the goods or property by force, with a deadly weapon, or they try to make someone believe that they have a deadly weapon, they can be charged with armed robbery. So obviously, in the example that we talked about, a banana is not actually a deadly weapon, but that banana made the outline in the person's jacket look like there was something in there that would harm that victim, that person who's the cashier. And that scared that person enough to hand over the cash in the cash register. And that's enough to meet the deadly weapon criteria. So armed robbery also involves taking, obviously, of another's property. That's an element called larceny, basically the taking and carrying away of another one's property with the intent to never return it. Or in the legal term is like permanently deprive the person of the property. So you get the idea that they're not borrowing this cash, they're going to take it and not come back with it again. The stuff that's stolen, it doesn't have to actually belong to the person. In the example that I gave, the cashier, that money that is in the register doesn't belong to the cashier if the cashier is simply working for the store. It belongs to the store manager, the store owners. So that's something that is important as well. So we kind of talked about what is a deadly weapon. A deadly weapon can be many different things. It doesn't have to be a gun. It doesn't have to be a knife. It could be something like a car. Certainly you could use a car to run over someone and kill them. So, that's something that could be considered a deadly weapon. It could be anything like pistol, a gun, rifle, knife, slingshot, metal, brass knuckles, razor blades, basically pretty much anything within reason could be a deadly weapon. Could be a baseball bat, a golf club, anything that could make someone scared during a holdup, basically. So wanted to give you an overview today of armed robbery. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Obviously, armed robbery is a felony. If you're convicted in South Carolina, it is a very serious offense. And for more information, head on over to my website at www.swilliams-law.net. I have written a blog article on this topic, and it appears on my website for more information. I'm attorney Susan Williams.